Okay, so it's right at 1:02 p.m. and I wanted to welcome everyone to the webcast. My name is Nitin Bhatia, and I'm one of the senior mobile strategists here at Propelics. We have a great turnout today for today's session on how iOS delivers benefits to both employees and IT. This is a very exciting topic for us as many of the use cases that we build and define for employees and customers for our clients can benefit greatly through iOS 9. But more exciting is for some of the increased flexibility and management capabilities it brings to IT organizations. James today is going to walk us through a lot of the benefits that iOS 9 brings to the table. Also, it's nice to see some of our clients today on the call. So hello to Scott and Chris. Great to see you on the call today. I also wanted to welcome our speaker, James Hoshor. It's great to have you here today, James.
Thank you, Nid. I'm excited to be here.
So before we get started, let's run through a few housekeeping items. This webinar will be recorded, and the slides will be made available after the webinar on our website, propelics.com/resources. So please do visit. Also, use the Q&A function of the GoToWebinar to ask your questions throughout the webinar. I'll pull these questions towards the end, and we can have a Q&A session with James towards the end of this webinar. Also, don't forget to visit www.propelics.com/resources, where we've posted additional 30 hours of webinar content on all sorts of topics as related to enterprise mobility. So before we get started, I want to give you a brief introduction on Propelics for those who are new. Propelics creates mobile strategies and world-class apps for the enterprise. We're 100% focused on mobile for the enterprise, specifically around good customer-facing use cases, but also on higher value use cases for the employees and partners. With a 20-year track record of providing enterprise-level strategies delivered to Fortune 500 clients, we've helped several clients build strategies around technology use, and more so when it comes to leveraging disruptive technologies such as mobiles and beacons and things like that. For the last 8 years, we've been working exclusively in mobile, both in terms of single-use embedded devices that we used to see back in the day, as well as consumer mobile devices that most of us are familiar with, in driving valuable use cases for employees, customers, and partners for our clients. We're based in San Jose with consultants all across North America, and we have a development center in Guadalajara, Mexico. And most of our clients are in the North America region, but we do have several engagements that have a global reach. So here are some of our clients. As you can see, we've worked across multiple industries, including retail, pharmaceutical, finance services, manufacturing services, and things like that. Essentially, any industry that has a strong need for a mobile workforce that can benefit from mobile roadmaps and applications, and as a result, elevate the business process and reduce waste. So briefly on some of the services that we offer, we have 4 categories of services. The mobile strategy services are delivered as fast-paced workshop engagements, and some are as quick as a single week. They're built specifically around specific challenges that we see with our prospects, and those include either building an enterprise mobile roadmap, or app scoping and prototyping, or challenges with the UI UX for mobile, IT strategy for mobile, mobile center of excellence, test strategy for mobile, and emerging technologies. We also provide services in the app development and support, where we deliver in-house implementation services and managed solutions, where we're heavily focused on great user experience and application simplicity upfront, as well as quality and reusable code on the back end. Our third and fourth are the Mobile Research Council and our enterprise products, which I'll get into in our next slide. The Mobile Research Council is something that we started when we saw a few gaps with our clients. First and foremost is the first and most important gap that we saw is access to mobile first analyst viewpoints from a group that truly understands enterprise mobility. So we joined forces with Maribel Lopez from the Lopez Research to build more interactive discussion forums to share mobility related news, share implementation stories, and collaborate on use cases and technology discussions. So please do check out the Mobile Research Council at www.mobileresearchcouncil.com. And lastly, our products. We've helped several organizations deliver enterprise mobile roadmaps and solutions where we begin to see repeated solutions in the needs of our clients. Shore Audit and enterprise auditing and serving platform for mobile. And second is the Exact Meeting, an enterprise built conference room and amenity finding and booking application for large organizations. And lastly is our lead to capture, the best way to capture trade show leads for follow-up and closure. You can find more information about the services we offer on our website, propelics.com. And now I'd like to introduce our speaker, James Hoshor. James is a senior mobile strategist with Propelics with over 20 years of experience in leadership, strategic planning, and business development. James has worked across multiple industries such as retail, insurance, travel, manufacturing, helping clients develop and deliver great mobile experiences to the employees and customers. With that, I'll welcome James over to our presentation, and I'll be back at the end to moderate questions and as well as present a special offer. Welcome, James.
Thanks, Nitin, and welcome everybody. I'm excited to be here today and certainly to share with everyone how IOS9 will help boost employee productivity. But just as important, and probably even more exciting, we're going to spend more time on today is really how IOS9 is making IT's job a little easier by simplifying deployment of devices and apps while enhancing enterprise security. So with that being said, we'll get started. And first, so we're going to talk about improved productivity through IOS9 and how it's boosting enterprise productivity of the employees. So probably one of the biggest advantages for employees is IOS9's new capabilities around multitasking. And really, this is going to completely change the way employees will work. They're now going to be able to accomplish tasks that were once faster doing them on a desktop or through other means in which they had to use for multitasking. And so I'm going to talk about just some of the three key features here that iOS9 is delivering for employees to multitask. And so the first one is the split view. This is now available on iPad Air 2 as well as now the new released iPad Pro. This is giving the employees essentially the ability to load two apps at once by pulling over the slide overview further to the left. And the users or the employees can view and actually work in both apps independently, which certainly is going to make things a lot easier versus toggling back and forth like we all had to do in the past between applications to get specific tasks or work done. The second feature really is the slide over, and as I just briefly mentioned, that does benefit the split view capabilities here. The slide over capability can be activated in any supported app, and really it pulls from the right side to the left side of the screen, open up a second window, which takes up a third of the screen there, as you can see in the example showing. And this really benefits the employees or the users to quickly send an email or to answer an incoming message, SMS message that they have while they're still working on the current task at hand. And then the third capability here is what we're calling the picture-in-picture. And this really is allowing the employees to minimize a video, for example. So they might be doing a FaceTime or watching a video on a demo, product demo or something. And if they need to quickly jump into an email to respond, they can minimize that video or FaceTime image down into the corner there, quickly answer an email or look at another application and then not lose their place on that video or FaceTime. So all these are certainly providing quite a bit of enhanced capability with multitasking for employees, especially working on the iPad tablet devices here. The next thing we're going to talk about is enhanced productivity. So the enhanced productivity through the common features that employees are using today, such as notes, calendar capabilities, and mail. IOS9 has really made some major enhancements in these three main features here. So from a notes perspective, it really is transforming what we were familiar with notes before, which was just more of a simple text-based app, to now being a more feature-rich note-taking app. So for example, here, as you can see on the screen, is now with the notes features, you can actually include a checklist of to-dos, photos, maps, web links, and much more. So truly making it more robust and a rich experience for an employee, which will enable them to even go through and attach items as they're viewing them, maybe in the browser or into another app, into the notes easily there. The second thing really that was a major enhancement and time saver is around the calendar capability. So we all get email messages and a lot of meeting requests. Well, with iOS 9, it will automatically recognize in any type of meeting invite or request and create a calendar event for you, as you can see in the top left corner there that I've highlighted in the orange red box there. And you can simply click on that and add that to your calendar. Then goes forward, and once you've added that, we'll quickly remind you of that event as it comes up, and you're ready to participate in it. And then the last thing we'll talk about is the mail upgrades. This has really been a significant enhancement here for mail. Probably the biggest enhancement I wanted to highlight today is the ability for marking up attachments such as PDF files or graphic attachments in an email that you receive. So as an example, user can circle a typo on a document or draw arrows on a diagram, or even add a signature to a contract right inside of the email now through the new features of iOS 9. So this will dramatically save a lot of time versus printing off an email or composing a completely separate email by being able to make notations and changes right there in the original email. And then the final enhancement we're going to talk about as far as employee productivity enhancements here is really focused around the ability to do searching. One of the most common tasks performed obviously every day is searching by employees or even everyday users for that matter. So recognizing this, Apple created a new Spotlight search feature that really delivers better results and context for user searches. And so by using what is called app indexing, the Spotlight feature now allows users to simply type in their search criteria, and instantly they're going to get results back that take them right into an app and even to a page in a particular application that meets their search criteria. Previously, as everybody's aware of from using the standard search capabilities, you would get a list of websites that fit that criteria that then you would have to go forward and start drilling into and determining which one's really going to provide the best context for what you were searching on. Now with a new Spotlight search capability, it takes you right into a specific website that best meets your criteria, and even all the way to the particular page that would best suit your needs. So as an example, if you're searching for a flight for an upcoming business trip, and you wanted to put in some criteria that, hey, I'm looking at going to New York City, I'm looking at this particular hotel, it will bring you directly to that page of that hotel in New York City, and take you right to the context where you can even contact them or find the pertinent information that you need to make that booking on there. Again, saving a lot of time versus the old way of where it just mainly provided a list of search results and URLs that then you had to move forward and sift through. So definitely a major enhancement from an employee search capability. So as I mentioned, the bulk of the time we want to spend really talking about how iOS 9 is really making IT's jobs a lot easier, especially around enterprise mobility management. And so we're going to spend majority of the time here today going through some of the key enhancements and features around that. So the first thing I'd like to talk about is really how iOS 9 is streamlining enterprise deployments. Apple has streamed the iOS deployment process by really impacting both deployment configuration of corporate reliable devices, as well as app deployment and management of BOI, OD, and corporate reliable devices. And so the three areas we're going to focus on here are automated enrollment, installing apps without an Apple ID, and converting unmanaged apps to managed apps. And these are all significant in the ways that they're going to benefit IT by enabling simplified, faster deployment of apps and devices while still enhancing security. But before I tackle these three the key benefits here, I want to kind of provide a little differentiator between managed devices and supervised devices, because this is a common question we get out there when we're meeting with clients on a daily basis. Really, managed devices are what we define as devices that are owned by an employee, whether the employee was provided a stipend from the company and they purchased that device through that stipend program, or it's a company issued device. Managed devices really are where devices are managed securely by IT, managing the corporate data and the app separately from any employee personal data or apps that have been installed. And this is done through the MDM profiles that IT administrators or EMM administrators set up. And this is a key benefit. So if an employee does leave the organization for one reason or another, IT can wipe any corporate data without affecting that employee's data on their device. The second area is really around supervised devices. And supervised devices are commonly referred to as more of the corporate-owned devices. Typically, this is for organizations that are sharing devices amongst employees, like a retail environment or maybe a manufacturing or distribution facility. IT has 100% control versus a managed device. Employees can't do any personalization or install or manage any of their personal apps or settings on these type of devices. And the biggest thing to note here, we're going to talk a little bit more about this as well, is with supervised devices, you can leverage the Apple's device enrollment program to do all your configuration settings and so forth. So there's no interaction by the employee from that standpoint. So let's go ahead and jump in on here and talk about automated enrollment and how iOS 9 is benefiting organizations from this standpoint. So iOS 9 really is automating enrollment devices through your MDM server using the Apple device enrollment program and or the Apple Configurator 2 feature on that. And so just to give some definition around those two areas there, the device enrollment program has been set up to provide fast and streamlined way to deploy organization-owned iOS or OS X devices that are purchased directly from Apple or through a participating Apple authorized reseller or partner from that standpoint. And the benefit here is that really going through this program, you can simply set up your devices by automating your MDM enrollment, and this is done on both managed as well as supervised devices, and really without having to touch or prepare the devices before the users get them. So you can also further simplify the setup process for users by removing specific steps in the setup assistant feature. So users are up and running very quickly as soon as they get that device from that standpoint. Once the device, once you've enrolled into the developer device enrollment program, you can quickly link your MDM servers to the device enrollment program, assign devices to users, and then leverage the setup assistant to go forward and quickly and easily configure your restrictions and your controls, and then those will be automatically installed on these devices without any employee interaction. From an Apple Configurator 2.0, the biggest enhancement here on this feature, the new design is really allowing your administrators to select and perform an action on a single device or many devices simultaneously, such as updating your OS software, installing apps, configuring profiles, exporting device information, inspecting devices, etc. So probably the one big advantage and key thing here from a Apple Configurator 2 enhancement is what they call the blueprint capability. And blueprint really is allowing the IT administrators to create a template to add configuration profiles and apps and perform actions just like it would to a connected device. And then you can take the blueprint and apply the configuration to the new devices with a simple single click. So definitely, streamlining the process and saving a lot of time for IT. And this is significant because prior to iOS 9's release here, profile setup, caused a lot of problems. Devices were distributed to employees without really being able to confirm if all the proper policies and restrictions were in place. That also required employees to be involved and accept the changes and to go through and assist with the final configuration process. So the benefits that iOS 9 is really driving here are significantly around enrollment optimization by leveraging the MDM server that you have in place today, as well as the benefits that the device enablement enrollment program and the Apple Configurator 2 capability provide. So the next area we're going to focus on as far as IT benefits here is being able to install apps without an Apple ID. This is another significant area that iOS 9 is providing some benefits to organizations. Probably the biggest thing I'll highlight here is that the new capability through device-based licensing is really going to eliminate the need for using Apple IDs now going forward. So prior to iOS 9, installing an app from the App Store required the end user to have an Apple ID, which often caused problems for the enterprise users. To meet this requirement, IT would go and have to generate Apple IDs on behalf of employees that didn't have an Apple ID, and then expect them, to use a separate ID to access, managed apps if they had personal apps that maybe were installed on their devices through their own personal Apple ID. And the confusion really was, the employees were like, okay, so which Apple ID do I use on this? So, this has now been simplified through the new device-based licensing. And as I mentioned, really the key benefit here is now IT can deploy apps out there to an employee device without using the Apple IDs, and they can distribute it directly to those devices, whether it's a smartphone or the tablet out there, and there is no interaction that's required from that employee. So definitely going to simplify the process there and really make it easier on both the employee as well as the IT administrator. We'll note that you can still use what they commonly refer to as the user-based licensing, where you can distribute user licenses, to an Apple ID. And this is certainly a benefit if an employee has multiple devices, so they have an iPhone, they have an iPad, and you want to be able to issue one license to be able to run and be able to use on both those types of devices. User-based licensing is still available and very much a benefit for both IT and benefits the employees certainly. The third thing we're going to talk about is around converting unmanaged apps to managed apps. This has really become a major benefit, I feel, going forward. with iOS 9, because with BYOD becoming the norm rather than the exception, Apple has certainly recognized that employees were and are using personal apps to perform their daily work tasks. So rather than restricting employees from using these apps, iOS 9 provides the ability for IT or your EMM administrator to convert these personal unmanaged apps to corporate managed apps. So it still enables the employees to continue using the apps that are helping them be productive, but it certainly is now ensuring the enterprise security measures are being adhered to and put in place. And this is definitely a major change from prior to iOS 9, where literally employees had to manually delete an app that was personally loaded by them, then reinstall that same app through the company's EMM or MDM enterprise app store. So definitely saving a lot of time and pain there from an employee standpoint. But the employee also gets the benefit of knowing that they're now secure on the devices and the apps that they are using to perform their daily tasks there as well. So, and this certainly doesn't impact any of their personal data on the devices as well as they move forward. The next area I'm going to focus on is really around how iOS 9 has enhanced enterprise security. And the three areas that we're going to talk about is installing apps without the App Store, the per app VPN enhancements that have been made, and then certainly protecting corporate data from AirDrop. And these areas are certainly a key focus that Apple wanted to address. As security continues to sit on top of the list for IT initiatives every year due to cyber attacks, enablement of virtual workforces becoming the standard versus an exception. The new release of iOS 9 is really delivering new features that will assist IT in their efforts to secure the company data without impacting employee productivity. So security should not just be about locking down a device or restricting the user. It really should be productive, and enable employees to do their jobs, but have the confidence that the work that they're doing is going to be secure and trusted, and certainly flexible for them. So in addition to some of these features that we'll talk about here, a couple other things I'll highlight is iOS 9 introduced a new Trust UI feature to help protect users from installing in-house apps from untrusted sources. So this is a key thing. Some of you may that have already downloaded iOS 9 on your personal devices are now probably seeing some of those notifications pop up to see if you want to trust that source that you're getting that app from. IT now can set that up automatically for the employees, so they get that note saying this is a trusted source. You can go ahead and download it, or vice versa. This is coming from an untrusted source, and highly encourage them not to download it, or even prevent them, for that matter, from downloading it. Probably the other big feature out there now is with the Touch ID. This has become a little bit more powerful by increasing the minimum length of passcodes from 4 digits to 6 digits, and allowing apps to detect when unfamiliar fingerprints have been added or removed from the Touch ID profile there. So another thing that Apple's doing with iOS 9's release to really enhance security in the light of a lot of the attacks and continuous malware and malicious things that are popping up every day out there. So iOS 9 is definitely taking security even further by protecting the corporate data in the ways that are robust yet private for the user. So we're going to now talk really through these key 3 features. So let's talk about installing apps without the App Store. The key thing here that I wanted to share is really IT's ability to distribute apps to manage devices without enabling the App Store. This was previously a cumbersome, kind of a time-consuming process. IT administrators or your enterprise mobility management administrators really had to enable the App Store long enough on an employee or user's device to be able to deploy a managed corporate app. The risk to this is that when they did that, employees had the ability during that window to actually go install other apps. And so this certainly created a security gap and a major concern, in addition to it being a very time-consuming process. Admins also had to then run reports to make sure that, you know, all the employees that were supposed to get the managed app did get the managed app and stuff. So again, another manual, time-consuming process. So with iOS, it now enables, IOS9 now enables IT to distribute apps through their EMM server or leveraging the Apple Configuration 2 feature without the App Store. And the benefit of this is you can silently push apps via your enterprise mobility management solution by sending a message on supervised devices, or even assign apps to the device for the user to install. So a little bit of intervention from the employee, but yet certainly a lot more streamlined in the process from that standpoint. And this really is enabling administrators to easily maintain a standard blueprint and not to worry about end users installing personal apps on supervised devices. So, you know, IT now can manage curated or whitelist or blacklist apps in their EMM app store, which is preventing users from installing unauthorized apps. So use cases here would be, you know, retailers that are providing devices to employees, or customers update apps on all devices without worrying about guests downloading unauthorized or potentially malicious apps or supervised devices, you know, in a hotel or resort type setting from that standpoint. So definitely it's providing a significant benefit here from that standpoint. Second thing we're going to talk about under security is the new enhancements to the per app VPN feature. Really, this is a big change or enhancement around network security with the enhancements that have been made to the per app VPN capability. This is giving IT more control over the network traffic, enabling support of streamlining technologies. So now network or your enterprise mobility management admins can really define how managed apps use the networks from that standpoint. So big change here. Really, prior to iOS 9, the per app VPN network connection was determined by underlying network settings that were already established. So in iOS 9, a network or your mobility manager can now define specific routes and domain name server settings that a managed app will use when making the per app VPN connection. So this security enhancement provides an administrator with far more control over the network traffic that a managed app uses. And so this is definitely going to be a significant benefit as iOS 9 is now supporting user data protocol traffic, UDP traffic. So you know, where employees are needing to stream real-time audio or video. Prior to iOS 9, you had to go preload the settings to watch a video or audio capabilities from a streaming perspective. Now iOS 9 supports that capability, so you can do that on the fly. So definitely a significant benefit now around that productivity or security enhancement there. The next thing we're going to talk about is protecting corporate data from AirDrop. You know, one of the main concerns for IT with growing demand of mobile in the enterprise today, and BYOD becoming again more of a norm in the enterprise, is really preventing corporate data from being passed between devices unsecurely. You know, before iOS 9, IT admins really didn't have control of being able to restrict employees from using AirDrop to transfer data between devices. So Apple had really paid attention to this area and this security concern. And now with the iOS 9, AirDrop can be really treated as an unmanaged destination, preventing employees from transferring corporate data from, you know, managed devices to unmanaged devices and so forth. And an example of this really is around, you know, email. Email is probably one of the biggest tasks that people are using on mobile devices. And so now with this this new enhancement, you can really restrict email and managed devices from sharing content or files such as attachments through AirDrop if need be, especially if you're in regulated industry or an environment that has very secure data that you're concerned with. So definitely some key enhancements around security that IOS9 is now delivering that will be a benefit for IT. So wrapping up here on the last few slides we have for today, I wanted to really highlight, some of the key steps as Propelics works with clients every day in helping them really set up their processes for deploying devices and apps and content. What we're showing here is kind of 10 key steps that we use and we recommend for clients, but I'm really going to focus on the 3 that are highlighted there in blue, the steps 5 through 7, because these are really the ones that IOS9 is impacting today with its new release, and so we're going to touch a little bit on those here in the next couple minutes. So jumping in on the device configuration, IOS9 is really, as we've talked about, simplified device configuration. So there are now multiple options available for IT to configure user access without restricting the employee productivity, while all enhancing the enterprise security. So, mobile device management. You can now use a configuration profile, which leverages XML files to allow distribution and configuration information to iOS devices. This is a key benefit because it's really automating configuration of settings and accounts and restrictions and credentials on the individual devices for employees there. This can be delivered through your MDM solutions that you have in place today. It can be done via an email attachment. You can download this from a web page or installed via the Apple Configurator 2 feature. We talked a little bit about Apple Configurator 2. Some of the key things to note here as far as its capabilities for device configuration and the benefits. Again, allows you to update your iOS software, configure device settings, install apps and other content there. And again, highlighting the ability to create the custom workflows using the blueprint feature in silently managing apps and devices without any employee interaction. So definitely a major benefit with configuring devices going forward for the IT team. And then around supervised devices, really, the key thing here is supervised device, using this as a model for device configuration is really providing the highest level of device management, especially for company-owned devices. The one thing to note is iOS9 devices in operating software right out of the gate are configured as unsupervised. So as you are deploying these devices in iOS9, you'll want to go in there and either through your device enrollment program or the Apple Configurator 2 and switch that over to the supervised setting for device configuration. So just a side note on that, but these are definitely multiple options now for IT organizations to manage simplified device configuration. The next thing we'll talk about is step 6 on our process, which is distribution of your apps. And as we mentioned earlier, distributing and installing apps used to be a pretty cumbersome process. That posed some of the potential security threats and concerns, as we mentioned, by allowing employees to install apps on their own when the App Store is enabled on their devices and such. Now iOS9 is providing multiple ways to distribute apps easier and more securely. The first one is managing multiple apps. You can use your MDM solution and/or your Apple Configurator 2 capability to manage apps and books purchased through the volume purchase program here. And Apple's VPP program is really becoming widely adopted by the enterprise. It's a new program where you can buy apps and books, iBooks in bulk, and then distribute them individually or in bulk across geographic locations. So, for example, if you have locations over in the UK and your corporate base in the United States, you can, through your VPP program with Apple, you can actually go purchase those apps in the United States and then deploy them over in the UK. And the volume purchase program actually supports up to 26 countries now. And so this is definitely going to be a significant benefit as large enterprises are looking at managing and distributing multiple apps to multiple locations out there. The next thing is the redeemable codes through the volume purchase program. This really is allowing organizations to permanently transfer an app or a book to a user through these redeemable codes. The codes are delivered in a spreadsheet format through the volume purchase program. There's a unique code that's really provided for each app or book out there. And then each time you distribute a code to an employee or an end user, or that code is redeemed for that matter, the spreadsheet is automatically updated in the volume purchase program store. Again, you can distribute these using your MDM solution, the Apple Configurator 2 feature, or email, or through your internal website. And then, as we mentioned a couple times now, the Apple Configurator 2 capability really is a great way to personally enable deployments where apps can be either pre-installed on devices. If you're using non-personalized deployments, you can fully set up devices all the way up to the home screen. So if you're issuing devices to employees that maybe are sharing that device, or you don't want them to have the ability to load personal apps or customize, great way to do that from that standpoint. And then the last step we'll talk about is distributing your devices, which really there's three key areas that we're going to focus on: personally enabled, non-personalized, and BYOD. IOS9 has really improved the process, especially the way it's now integrating seamlessly, and the new management features it provides to support integration with MDM solutions out there. So from a personally enabled deployments, devices that are purchased through a company stipend, as we talked about before, or company issued devices, IT can distribute devices using that setup assistant. Users then activate the devices, they can configure the basic settings, and really enable them to start work right away without any help from IT for that matter. And then, as I mentioned, that they can customize some personal preferences there, whether it's language, location, Siri, iCloud, their Find My iPhone, etc. So, and these are best managed by enrolling these devices through that device enrollment program, and in conjunction with your MDM solution there. The non-personalized deployments, these are again really the company-owned devices, typically a shared device scenario, such as a retail or manufacturing distribution. This is where IT is really preloading apps and device configurations, and where the users don't have the ability to personalize it. So again, leveraging the security features enhancements we talked about previously in this webinar, IOS9 is really enabling IT to put in the security measures to enable the non-personalized capabilities through device distribution. And then finally, the BYOD deployments, as I mentioned, this is becoming fairly mainstream now through a lot of enterprise customers. IOS9 is, again, by integrating and leveraging its new management features for MDM, it's really allowing users to personalize their devices with their own Apple IDs, but it's also, the employees that are managed by an MDM solution are then, receiving the benefits of the enhanced security features through IOS9 and the MDM solutions that your organization has, without impacting productivity or any risk of data loss and so forth, for that matter. And just to really wrap up here and summarize things for today, so as you can see, IOS9 is really delivering far more benefits than just a few enhancements for users. It's really focused heavily on IT and simplifying IT's roles and responsibilities around enterprise mobility management. Combined with your enterprise mobility management solutions, iOS9 is really going to be delivering enhanced capabilities for enhancing your security, simplifying app and device management, and improving your employee productivity more than ever. So that's all I have. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Nitin, and we'll be taking questions here. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, James. Okay, so before I get into the special offer, I wanted to take this opportunity to remind everyone that to use the Q&A function to ask James any questions you may have. So on today's webinar, James walked through a subset of the IT strategy for mobile Kickstart that we offer as a part of our mobile strategy services. The IT strategy for mobile Kickstart starts with defining the ownership model that best fits the client, to the MDM selection, to the configuration and deployment of apps and content, and finally kind of getting into the ongoing support. The IT strategy for mobile is one of many Kickstarts we offer, and you can find more information about that specific Kickstart as well as other Kickstarts that we offer on our website at propelics.com. For our webinar attendees today, we have a special offer, and that's a discount of 20% on Kickstarts that are contracted in 2015. So definitely do take advantage of that. And with that, let's jump into some of the questions here. So the first question I have here, James, is from David. And his specific question is around Windows 10. So with Windows 10 being released soon, what are the competitive differences between iOS 9 and Windows 10?
That's a great question, David. So what we're seeing out there, especially around compatibility, is iOS 9 has really been deployed with the ability to be compatible with all iOS devices. So whether it's your iOS 5, iOS 6, iOS 8, etc., tablet, smartphone, wearable devices, it's been deployed right out of the gate, compatible with all platforms and devices. That standpoint. Windows 10, unfortunately, on the other hand, there's a lot of hype and it's going to have a lot of great features. It is being deployed initially out of the gate with a limited compatibility of devices, Windows devices out there. So that is probably the one drawback that we're seeing out there as far as compatibility. As far as some of the key features, obviously I talked a lot about iOS 9 today, and they're focused on improving employee productivity and really improving IT's processes. Windows 10 has been more focused on changes due to wanting to introduce more apps from a Microsoft perspective. And so what they're really trying to do is provide a seamless user experience across all of their platforms and devices, whether you're leveraging a tablet, a desktop, smartphone, etc. So those are probably the key ones that I would mention today.
Thanks, James. The next question we have is from Steve, and Steve's specific question is around the compatibility of iOS 9 with current EMM vendors such as AirWatch and Mobile Iron and similar vendors that we have in the market today.
Yeah, another great question, Steve. Yeah, so as I mentioned, one of the key features that enhancements through iOS 9 is certainly around interoperability with MDM servers and solutions out there today. So as I talked about in the webinar, there's a lot of enhancements, updates through the device enrollment program functions, where you can send an MDM command that prompts the device to perform a separate download or installation of software updates without any interaction or knowledge of the user or the employee. The new setup assistant capability that your MDM server can leverage, which allows you to do all your configuration, set up things, and deploy it to the users. And then when the user goes activate the device, everything's automatically loaded and configured those. So those are just some of the highlights that I wanted to touch base again. But really iOS 9 has done a nice job of building in a lot of management features that are going to be widely benefited through the MDM solutions out there today. And I know from talking with a lot of the providers like Aperion, AirWatch, Mobile Iron, as you mentioned. They've already made their enhancements to their MDM or EMM solutions to be compatible and support iOS 9. So my recommendation would be to certainly talk to your MDM or EMM solution provider and understand the full benefits and capabilities they have today with iOS 9 and what the roadmap looks like.
Thanks, James. And one more quick reminder for the participants: if you do have questions, please use the Q&A function of the GoToWebinar to ask your questions for James. James, I have a question here from Eric, and his question is more around a confirmation. I think he's trying to get is: does this mean that as an organization we don't need to manage individual iTunes accounts anymore for corporate-owned in-field devices?
Yes, as I mentioned before, now with the device license program, you can actually deploy applications to device specifically versus to the user if we're going to need to leverage Apple IDs or requiring Apple IDs to manage and deploy apps out there for corporate-owned devices.
Okay, excellent. So I don't see any more questions in sort of the Q&A portion of GoToMeeting. So once again, if you do have a question, please do use the Q&A function to ask any questions you may have for James. And while we give our participants just a minute to jot down their thoughts or questions, I once again wanted to remind everyone about the special offer for our attendees today. We're giving a 20% discount on our Kickstarts that we went through. So our Kickstarts cover enterprise mobile strategy, IT strategy for the mobile, mobile UI UX, mobile center of excellence, and these and many other Kickstarts that we offer on our website. Please visit propelics.com to get more information. Okay. Well, I don't see any more questions, so I do want to take this opportunity to thank James for sharing his perspective on how iOS 9 brings several benefits to the enterprise, not only the employees but also IT. And I also wanted to thank our attendees for attending this webinar. So thanks everyone, and have a good day.